Hello, my name is Nancy Cheney. I am the reading specialist with Epic Charter Schools. Today we're going to be looking at 5th grade, Oklahoma Academic Standards, English Language Arts, Standard 5.4.R.2. Students will use word parts, affixes, Greek and Latin roots, and stems to define new words and determine the meaning of new words. Today we're going to be looking at affixes, prefixes, and suffixes as an introduction. Affixes are word parts added to beginning, middle, or end of a word to change its meaning. Now, two types of affixes are the prefix, which is a word part with a specific meaning added to the beginning of a word to change or modify its meaning. The suffix, a word part with a specific meaning added to the end of a word to change or modify its meaning. A stem is a part of a word. A stem is a form to which affixes can be attached. For example, in the word friendship, we have the stem friend, to which the suffix ship is attached to form the word friendship. Now, in Greek and Latin roots, they are words or partial words from these languages which have specific meanings and are the basis of many of our English words. Now, knowing these Greek and Latin roots and their meanings will be a great benefit in understanding the meaning of many of our English words. Let's look at prefixes first. Below are a few common prefixes and their meaning. Now, this is not all the prefixes by any means, and you will want to get a list of these and go over most of the prefixes. Let's start with the first one. We have in, im, il, These all mean not when they are put before a word. For example, indirect, immoral, illiterate, irreverent. Another prefix is sub, S-U-B, which means under. An example of a word with it would be subway. Next is trans, T-R-A-N-S, which means across. And you would have the word example of transmit, to send across. Over is another prefix that means over or too much. An example is overeat, which means you would eat too much. And semi, which means half, partly, not fully. An example would be semi-final. Not the final, but the part leading up to it, the semi-final. Now let's look at some suffixes. Below is a few common suffixes and their meanings. Again, this is only a partial list, and you will want to look at a list that contains more. Ed is a suffix, and it can be pronounced d, t, or ed. It's the past tense for verbs and some adjectives. The example would be walked. Our next suffix is able, A-B-L-E, or ible, I-B-L-E, means is or can be. An example would be affordable or sensible. Ness is our next suffix, means state of or condition of being. And an example would be openness. Full, F-U-L, stands for full of. And an example would be helpful. Helpful means full of help. A next one is ing. This is used on verb forms, and it's a present participle. And an example would be sleeping. The last one on our list is est, est. This means the most. You use this when you're comparing three or more things. And in this case, we have the word example, the tallest. Now we're going to look at some common Greek roots and their meanings. The first one is bio, which means life. An example would be biology or biography. Next one is TEL, tele, stands for far off. An example would be telephone, television. Auto is our next example, and auto means self. Autobiography or automobile. Micro, M-I-C-R-O, means small. Here's some words that use this in it, is microscope or microbe. A small scope. Hyper, H-Y-P-E-R, stands for over or above. Sometimes it can mean too much. Example, hyperactivity or hyperbole. Hypo is below or beneath, not enough. The hypothermia or hypothetical. And phobia is a fear, means fear. An example would be claustrophobia, a fear of small spaces, or to be phobic, which means you have phobias. Let's go on to our common Latin roots and their meanings. First one is J-E-C-T, ject. This means to throw. An example would be projection or rejection. The next one is circum, which means around. You can find that in words such as circumference and circumstance. Aqua means water. Aquarium and aquamarine have the root aqua in them. Voc stands for voice or to call, would be used in the words such as vocalize and advocate. Fort means strength, fortress, or fortitude. P-A-T-E-R stands for pater, father, paternal, paternity. And M-A-T-E-R stands for mutter, mother, maternal, or maternity. Again, this is just a few examples of our Greek and Latin roots, and you will want to get a more comprehensive list to study some of the others. Let's review. You need to know the common affixes, prefixes, suffixes, and stems, and their meanings to determine the meaning of new words. You also need to know the common Greek and Latin roots and their meanings to determine the meaning of new words. Again, this is an introduction or a review of prefixes, suffixes, roots, Greek and Latin roots, and stems. You need to continue to work with these meanings until you become more comfortable with them and can use them when you come across them in new words to get the meaning of those new words. You may want to ask your teacher for a more comprehensive list of the prefixes, suffixes, Greek, and Latin roots.